The defection of former Director General of the All Progressives Congress campaign organization in the 2019 general election, that's Dr. Chidi Lloyd, to the People's Democratic Party, PDP, in Rivers State, has sent huge shockwaves through the fragmented party. Though defection from APC is not a unique phenomenon in Rivers State, that of Lloyd, considered as a hardliner and an ally of the Minister of Transportation, Chibuike Amechi, is a pointer to the smouldering resentments within the APC. The inability of the national leadership of the APC to end the internal squabbles that culminated in the exclusion of the troubled party in 2019 or in the 2019 general elections in Rivers State has now left many party stalwarts psychologically battered and also demoralized. Well, and that was a mouthful. Joining us from our Abuja studio now to discuss politics in Rivers State and other burning issues in the South is Chidi Lloyd, a former leader of the Rivers State House of Assembly. Many thanks for joining us today on Newsday, sir, to discuss quite a lot at length. I guess it's only right for me to start off by asking you for your reasons for defecting to the PDP.
Well, first of all, let me thank you for having me on this program. First, I exercise my right as enshrined in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to switch parties when it becomes clear that the party in which you are in is involved or embroidered in an unending dispute. So that was what happened. The All Progressive Congress in Rivers State, as you all know, we were not able to field candidates, not even one, in the 2019 general elections. And after the elections, when everybody thought that reason would prevail for us to sit down on a round table and discuss on how to move the party forward, another round of crisis started. As at the last time I checked, the APC had about 5 litigations lying at various stages of various courts. So I felt that enough was enough, and I had to decide to go back to my former political party, where I actually cut my political teeth.
Chidi, I remember very clearly, if you remember, interviewing you last year. We were talking about the Vice President, Yemi Oshibajo, calling the Governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, Mr. Project. And you were vehemently opposed to that statement. I didn't make it. The Vice President made it. But you were saying that I was trying to support Wike, which of course was not true. I was asking you a simple question. So how do you really, in good conscience, rationalize your jumping ship, to PDP from APC? With all that has happened, with all...
well, you recall that we are not...
Yeah, go on.
Yes, you recall that the statement that was made by the Vice President then was not totally correct as we saw it as members of the All Progressive Congress. But you remember that the Vice President is also a pastor of a Redeemed Church. He apparently saw what will happen tomorrow. As at the time I said what I said, the evidence available to me didn't show that Governor Wike was doing any work as at then. But coming from a pastor of a Redeemed Church, the Vice President may have seen tomorrow and spoken to it. And the evidence available to me now, as at today, which made me take the decision, shows that Governor Wike is indeed working. I cannot deny the fact that the landscape of Port Harcourt had changed drastically. We have counting 4 flyovers at various strategic points in Port Harcourt, being handled by Julius Berger. The Rebisi Bridge, the Rebisi flyover bridge, the Romoba flyover bridge that cuts across the 1st to the 2nd artillery, another bridge again at what is popularly known as GRA Junction, and the one at Okoro Nodo. I will not, because I was a member of the All Progressive Congress, say that these things don't exist. The facts are clear.
But then you said it didn't exist.
The various interventions that Governor Wike had done in the judiciary, he had provided accommodation for all the judges. Just recently on the precisely on the 3rd of September, the CJN was in Port Harcourt to commission a state-of-the-art 20 units of 4-bedroom, fully furnished accommodation for judges. Will I then say that these things don't exist? Or is it to talk about the intervention he had made in the reconstruction of the Court of Appeal that now makes judges to sit and work in a cozy environment? Is it the one of industrial court? Is it the one of the various high courts, both federal and state? So there are times, there are areas that you don't play politics with. Playing politics does not also include telling lies or not saying the truth. I am a man of faith. I belong to the Catholic faith, and we take these things very seriously. So if I had said them before, it was because the evidence available to me then necessitated what I said, as opposed to the evidence that is available now.
Dr. Chidi Lloyd, do you permit me to probably find out from you, first of all, a lot of people have accused Nigerian politicians of always playing the politics of convenience as against of ideological politics, that when it suits the politician, they decide to swing one way. When it doesn't suit them, they swing the other way. I'd like to hear from you concerning that. And also, did your political godfather or your political ally, Rotimi Amechi, did he give you his blessings when you said you were going to leave the APC to the PDP? Have you spoken to him about this?
Well, first is to react to the politics of convenience. I don't play. You said Nigerians believe. Well, it depends. Everybody is entitled to his rights. But what is convenient to me is that my people, where I come from, in our local government area, precisely my Ababu community, where I have not been able to access their kit and kin in Ebeda and Obudioga. Governor Wike has made that possible. While I recall I was away in the United Kingdom for postgraduate studies. Upon arrival, Governor Wike had provided electricity for my community. So what is if that is what you mean by politics of convenience, so be it. So I had to join forces with a man who was benevolent enough to bring amenities to my community, a community of one of his fiercest critics. So I think that my conscience would not let me to continue to criticize such a man. If that is what people consider politics of convenience, so be it. I am in politics because of my people, not because of what I will gain. The road will be used by members of nearly all the members of the PDP and the APC. It is not a road to be used by the PDP members only. And you talk about ideology. If I have any ideology at all, it is the ideology of the People's Democratic Party. By sojourn in the APC, we have not been able to win any election. The only election I contested in 2015, I lost roundly under the All Progressive Congress. So if I had any ideology, it is that of the PDP, which is power to the people, which was the political party on whose platform I sought elections back-to-back thrice to get elected into the Rivers State House of Assembly.
Okay, let me get this right. Are you saying that power to the people is something we can define as a party's ideology? And what exactly is the ideology of the PDP? Because I wouldn't like to believe that we would define a party's entire ideology as power to the people. That's a bit concerning.
Well, what you mean when I say the ideology of the party, of course, the central thing is that the power belongs to the people. It is not a party that chooses to run on impunity. The people are considered first in the PDP. So before policies are crafted in the PDP, we take very seriously the position of the people. So the central point in the People's Democratic Party is how to better the lives of those who are governing. And I think that is the cardinal thing here.
All right,
so
Dr. Chidi,
infrastructure, agriculture, and all that.
Dr. Chidi Lloyd, you probably, maybe because of you had so much to say, you actually skipped or omitted my second question about Rotimi Amechi, your allies.
No, I was going to come to that before my sister interjected.
Okay.
My apologies, I was just a bit concerned about your definition of an ideology.
Okay. All right, go ahead. You have the floor.
I was going to come to that.
Yes.
You know, you talked about the blessings of my political mentor, the Honorable Minister for Transportation. Of course, my exit from the APC will not be new to the minister, because recall that we were all in the People's Democratic Party. The minister and I were all in the People's Democratic Party before we switched to the All Progressive Congress. I don't think it will come to him as something entirely new, because he has also switched political party.
All right, let me pursue this ideology question a little bit more. What's your sense of the description of political parties and their members as not having any ideology? When I said this, think of the Conservatives in London, think in the UK, think of the Labour Party. How many times have you ever heard that a Kramer moved over to Cameron's party, or that Boris Johnson moved over to Sir Kramer's party, or in the US, for that matter, Democrats and Republicans? And then, Chidi, what are you going to tell your people who have followed you all the while, that have been in APC? What are you going to tell them is the reason for, again, jumping ship?
Well, you are not totally correct when you say that in London or in other democracies that people do not jump ship.
You hardly hear about it.
You may not. What you should say is that you don't hear about them.
No, not that you hear about them. You hardly see it happen.
Has not left.
It's rare. Very rare.
No, basically, that you hardly see it happen does not mean that it doesn't happen.
It will make news.
That you hardly see it happen doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. Now, how many times have you seen me jump ship? If I had jumped ship at all, I have jumped back to the ship that I recognize. The other ship was alien to me, and I have come back to the original ship where I belong to. I don't think that should cause anybody any sleepless night.
Okay, PDP is the original ship.
Yes, I like the word original ship.
You used it. You were the one that how did you use it? You used it, Chidi.
I actually don't know where
I'm echoing what you just said.
Oh my. I mean, you said that you hardly see it happen does not mean it doesn't happen. That's such a political answer to give, Dr. Lloyd.
Absolutely.
Very political answer to give.
In the United States of America, recently you saw a congressman in the U.S. Senate move from the Republican Party to the Democratic Party.
So what exactly are you now hoping to achieve on your original ship?
I just told you what I have already achieved in less than 2 weeks that I came back home.
No, I asked what you're hoping to achieve. You would have obviously defected for a reason. So what are you hoping to achieve?
What I have achieved is that, one, the governor has brought infrastructure to my community.
Not what you have achieved.
I wouldn't have
what
been able to
hoping to achieve, Dr. Lloyd?
I wouldn't have been able to construct a 16.8-kilometer road being in the opposition. I wouldn't have been able to give electricity to my community, Abab, and the other 6 communities that are around it, being in the opposition. So I would not, if I had held dogmatically to political parties, so that journalists and Arise will not say, I don't have ideology. We wouldn't have had that project in the community.
All right, Chidi.
So that's why I said to you that the PDP is about the people.
Okay, Chidi, before we let you go, there's this talk, that
yes.
Governor Wike is using taxpayers' money to buy George's cars. He's building bridges all over the place, but he's leaving the most important resource of Rivers people, which is the people, which is the personnel. What's your sense of that? Briefly.
Well, talk is cheap. Talk is very cheap. So ordinarily, but for the fact that it's coming from you, I wouldn't have answered, I wouldn't have responded to that. Governor Wike is using taxpayers' money to buy cars for judges. What does that mean? It's preposterous. Those are things that only come from small minds. And I thank God you didn't say it. You are saying what other people said. Who are the judges? Judges are members of the third arm of government. The Senate president has his official car. The Speaker of the House of Representatives has his official car. The President of the Federal Republic has his official car. Why do we have this mentality that once you are a judge, you should be treated with ignominy? Recall that these are members. These people constitute the third arm of government. And when there are disputes
Dr.
anywhere, we run to them. And a governor comes.
Unfortunately, we have run out of time and we will have to leave it there. You are still watching Newsday.